Hey y'all, this is Shane Messer. Welcome back to Daily Music Theory, and today we're going to be talking about pitch. So pitch is basically how high or low a note is. Basically, it's that spectrum that measures higher and low frequencies. And I figured it would be good to start by talking about sound waves. So I've drawn two sound waves right here, and as you can notice, these two sound waves are different in two ways. First off, the distance between their peaks. And basically by their peaks, I mean like if you take this one up here, this and this right here, that distance right there, and then down here, the horizontal distance between their peaks is this one's greater than this one. And basically, if in math class, if you've ever studied like sine waves, you'll know that this distance is referred to as period, the distance between two peaks. And so when the period is smaller, like this top sound wave, it's going to be a higher pitch sound, and when the period is larger, it's going to be a lower pitch sound. And pitch is measured in Hertz, which is often abbreviated Hz. And also, you also notice too that this sound wave down here, the other way it's different from this one, it has a larger vertical distance compared to this one, and that is called amplitude, and that's basically your volume. And so that's kind of going back to what we talked about with dynamics. This wave might be at maybe mezzo forte, and this one might be at a like mezzo or mezzo piano maybe. So this top sound wave could be something like, I don't know, maybe this, and the other one could be like something like that. So that's basically just, I figured it'd be good to touch on sound waves real fast with that, so we can understand pitch a little bit better. And like I said, pitch is measured in Hertz, and I believe the standard tuning note A, let's see, is it this, I believe it's this A, but it's 445 Hertz. So, but that's not too important for us right now. We're going to get into how we notate notes on a staff and the musical alphabet today. So a long time ago, before when music first started being written down, a lot of early music, we don't really have it because it's extinct. So, because music wasn't written down, or was written down on materials that didn't really last. But when it started being notated, the early church used a 4-line, 3-space system. If you've ever looked at Gregorian chants, you know what I'm talking about. And they used notes called neumes, basically, which were like little boxes and rectangle shapes. And I think like the longer the rectangle, the longer the note duration, rhythm-wise. And basically however close they were together, or how high or low, that would determine pitch. How close they were would determine like rhythmic ideas. And it was all kind of based off of a reference pitch that they would use at the beginning, and then they would just kind of sing the chant based off of the shape, basically. And now, of course, we have note names based off of the musical alphabet, and we have a 5-line, 4-space staff that we use, 2 actually. And so we're going to get into that. So first off, the musical alphabet. There's only 7 letters, A through G, and once you get to G, you repeat back to A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G. And it just repeats on and on, going down. Of course, going down, it would be A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Yeah, but basically, I can go forward, backwards, and it repeats at G. Now we have 2 staffs we notate pitches on. One's the treble clef, and it's used for higher pitch sounds, and it looks like a really fancy G. Uh-oh, my marker's trying to go out again. There we go. Looks like a really fancy G. And then we have the bass clef used for lower sounds, and it looks like this. And it has 2 dots, and these 2 dots, as you're going to see in a second, they surround the F line. So this is also called the G clef, and this is also called the F clef. Why? When people were making these staffs, they just picked a random note and decided to do that. Yeah. Anyways, so we're going to actually draw these staffs out now, and I kind of drew them out of proportion, so I'm going to erase that and draw it real fast for you. And in the next video, we're going to take a look at this on the piano, and it'll probably clear up any confusion that you might have, so I think that'll be good. Okay, about done wrong. And most instruments usually just use one of the clefs, so either the treble clef on top or the bass clef on bottom. So like clarinet will use treble clef, tuba will use bass clef. But some instruments like the piano, a lot of keyboard instruments, organ, or composers, when they want to compose something like for a choir or for a band, they want a condensed score, they'll use what's called the grand staff. And that's basically when you use a bracket to connect these two, and these two staffs become one, basically. Basically, that's kind of funny, basically. So this is the grand staff. It's both of those clefs together. And know that there are other clefs. There's an alto clef that the viola uses, and that some alto choir parts use. But most of the time, there's just the treble and bass. That's the most common system. Okay, so for the treble clef, the notes, we're going to label them. This bottom line here, this bottom line on the treble clef staff is E. So the treble clef staff bottom line starts on E. Then the next space is F. Then the line above that's G. Then you keep going. Space A, line B, space C, line D, E. Then that top line's F. Now, it's kind of hard to just remember it like that, even though it goes alphabetically. And like I said, once you get to G right here, it repeats at A. But something that will really help you remember it, if you think of the lines as E, G, B, D, F, every, good. So every good boy does fine. And the spaces as F, A, C, E, or face. So let me kind of rewrite this off to the side. F, A, C, E. So face for the spaces. And I'll have to write up top of that, I'm not gonna. But every good boy does fine for the lines. So that'll really help you remember that. Now for the bass clef, the lines are good boys do fine always. So G, B, D, F, A. And the spaces are all cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. All cows eat grass. So anyways, you can see here how it's still alphabetical though. This bottom line's G, and we repeat it G. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F. 2 dots are on the F if you ever get confused. G, A. And you might be wondering too how these connect, how these two staffs connect in the middle, because you have the space in the middle. Well, there's a ledger line we put right here. And a ledger line basically is it's basically an additional line we write above or below a staff to add more notes if we need more notes. So there's a line perfectly in between these two staffs called middle C. And I'm going to write a whole note right here on this line, this ledger line, and that is middle C right there. And so when we do that, we also create two spaces, one above and between the middle C and treble clef, and one below the middle C between it and the bass clef. And this space is B because if that's middle C, then that line's A, then A, B, C, and then this space right here between C and E is D. So that's D. And so we've connected the staffs. Like I said with ledger lines, if you need to go higher, in a lot of flute parts, you'll see notes above this treble clef up here. So you might have this imaginary space right here above the F line, G, and then you might have a line here, A. Then if you go above that, B, C, and I'll actually write a note instead of a dot. That's a right kind of a whole note there. C, and you can keep going forever and ever, all men. But down here we could do the same thing below G. This, if you wrote a note below the bass clef right here, that'd be an F. If you had a ledger line, like I said, that's where you get your space right here for that F. And you add this ledger line, this would be an E. Add another ledger line, or go below the ledger line, you have D. Add another, and you'd see C. And this low C right here, the two ledger lines, low C, and then the two ledger lines, high C up here. That's probably like the extremes you'll see in most, and I kind of have a range on the computer, I'm sorry. This low C and this high C up here, that's probably like the extremes for range you'll see in most writing. Yeah. So that's basically it. If there's any confusion, I didn't learn this overnight. When I started learning bass clef, I got an app that helped me read it more fluently because I was just going every good or good boys do fine always, all cows eat grass every time I try to read it. And so I downloaded, there's apps you can download. I'm going to suggest a few of those below in the video description. There's some really good apps you can use that help you train to read those notes faster in bass or treble. So you get kind of used to using most staffs, or yeah, if you've never read music before. But those acronyms are really helpful though. Good boys do fine always, all cows eat grass, and then treble clef, every good boy does fine, FACE or face. Those are very helpful. And then of course remember middle C's in between. The G, the second line of the treble clef is G, and the second top line of the two dots surrounding the bass clef is F. So you have some reference points there that really help you. And like I said, if there's anything, any confusion, anything y'all want to know, just ask me in the comments. Love you guys. Peace out. Have a great day and God bless. Thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe.